Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Bird Brothers, two brothers in Ohio, lifelong Eagles fans. We're here to break down we're going to preview the Eagles Vikings matchup and break down some matchups within the game. Super excited for this one. Obviously, they have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Jalen Reagor, who I'm terrified of. Ryan, what are your thoughts initially? The Vikings coming into Philly for the home opener.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that it's a home game. As you know, like if you watch previous videos, I'm a fan of Kirk Cousins. I think he gets kind of I don't know why he's so hated on, and people say you can't win the big games, things like that. I don't think it's always been, all about Kirk Cousins, why they aren't winning big games, but terrified of Justin Jefferson. I think as pretty much every team is. And if you say you aren't, you're probably lying. The guy, he's just one of those guys who's going to get his regardless. You can scheme him, you can do what you want, but he's gonna put some points up. So I think they're a very well-rounded team. I think Adam Thielen is one of the most underrated receivers in the league, especially now that Jefferson, since he got there, he's put on a show. So Thielen's kind of getting outshined, but I'm not sure on Reagor. I haven't really done the research on that if he's going to actually play or if it's still going to be KJ Osborne in the slot. But we know Reagor has talent. We drafted him for his talent. For whatever reason, it didn't work in Philly. He couldn't seem to put it together on the field. That being said, I'm not scared of when I think of the Vikings. I'm not scared of Jalen Reagor. I'm scared of Jefferson and Thielen and Dalvin Cook. I think it's going to be a test, man. I do. I think, especially seeing how DeAndre Swift ran right down the middle, just kind of tearing us, for 20, 30-yard runs. It scares me a little. I'm hoping Gannon gets a little more aggressive in scheming. I think that's the way we beat them is, bring some pressure and then press and shadow Jefferson. Make Thielen beat us or whoever their number 3 is. But we got to stop the run, man. We have to stop the run. Teams are going to see that, and they're just going to run the ball down our throat. And for whatever reason, we aren't stopping it. We have a great defensive line. Davis needs to be in there more. I don't know the exact numbers, but I saw a statistic basically pointing out when Davis was on the field versus off the field, what they ran for. And it was like half yards per carry when Davis was on the field. So I'd like to see that. Yeah, I'd like to see a lot more, man. I think I love Javon Hargrave. I think they need to be situational. If you're expecting run, and why not play them all? Like I'm okay with seeing Fletch, Javon Hargrave, and Jordan Davis. And I don't understand the thought process of some teams where you have to run a defensive end or an edge depending on your scheme, and 2 defense tackles or 1 defense tackle, and just play your best players. Just put the guys on the field that you're going to get the most pressure with. Aaron Rodgers just said that the other day, talking about scheme, which running back are you going to see? And he said, look, you just put your best players. If that means that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are on the field, you just put them on the field. We all know how he feels about his rookie receivers. And that's kind of how I like, just put our best players on that defensive line to do whatever is going to win us the game. If we can stop Dalvin Cook, that's just one of the things I'm terrified of, Dalvin Cook and Jefferson. I have more confidence in stopping Dalvin Cook than I do Jefferson. So I think that's the biggest takeaway is, run the football on offense, control the clock, and don't let Kirk Cousins have, so many possessions where he's throwing the ball 55 times a game. And so that's my biggest takeaway from this is slow down Justin Jefferson as much as possible and, use the guys we have. The whole rotational thing is great, but we need to see Jordan Davis on the field. And I don't think his stamina or cardio is a question.
Yeah, that's what some people have mentioned. Is his stamina not there? I think he played 22 snaps.
Yeah, not enough, man.
Or 22 snaps or 22% of the snaps. I think it was 22 snaps total. I was shocked to see Marlon Tuiolopa.
Yeah.
The last name properly right now, but I was shocked to see him on the field. It's kind of a good thing because he was a late round pick. He's getting on the field. That's good. Like he must be a sound player. He must have had a good camp. They must like him. So that's good value, but not in the context of we have a first round pick that we traded up to get. We have Milton Williams,
Yeah.
who's a third round pick, who we drafted a year ago. These two young guys. The Marlon was like a fifth, seventh round guy, I think. He was projected to be like a third round pick, I think, second, third round pick at one time, according to Dane Brugler. But I was just thrown off by that. Like, why is Marlon on the field? Where's Jordan Davis? Um, I've heard a lot of people say Fletch and Hargrave did not look good.
Yeah.
Did not look good against the run. Um, I share that statistic you said, Ryan. We did another video, guys, reacting to the Eagles Lions game. Share that statistic about pressure rate because this talks about Jim Schwartz's scheme. Jim Schwartz's philosophy obviously was very like stop the run, right? And it was rush the passer, stop the run on the way to rushing the passer. What were we great at? We were great at stopping the run, and we were great at pressuring the quarterback. Share that
Right.
statistic you said, Ryan.
Yeah. So from 2017, start of the season, to the end of the 2020 season, Jim Schwartz last season, uh, we created double digit pressures on 84% of the snaps throughout that time frame. So 84% of the time we were creating double digit pressures in a game. From the start of the basically Jonathan Gannon, let's say, era until the end of week 1, which is all we have this year, only 34% of the games have had double digit pressures. So smaller sample size, but a full season plus one game this year, and only 34%. So we're losing 50%, pressures double digit pressures on games. So I get that it's a scheme thing, but to me, there's no sense in having a stud defensive line and building all this depth if you're not going to use them. If you're going to sit back and, we're giving up, getting gas for 25-yard runs. We're not getting pressures. I wasn't impressed with the pressures we were getting. We had some stretches where we'd have a good series, but then the next one they just run it down our throat. And let's not discredit, like the Lions' offensive line is very good. It's very good, but
Top 5, probably.
Yeah, I would say we're supposed to be very good though too, and not having Jordan Davis on the field is I don't like to the thing of Marlon. Like I give him credit, he must have had a great camp. People love him, whatever. I don't care if Jordan Davis didn't play. Well, I don't care if Jordan Davis didn't play a single snap in preseason or camp. It's like he is going to play week 1 over Marlon. I don't care how good Marlon was in training camp, because I traded up, I used the assets to get him, and I've seen his tape, and we know what he can do.
Yeah, they did it with the receivers.
Right, and he did it.
They kept putting Rager out there.
It's not like he played at some small school where he was going against, it was just a guy that never got found or he got in trouble. Like, he played at a legit school, arguably the best defense of all time in college football.
Yeah.
And we're not playing him. We're playing him 20 snaps or 25 snaps. It's, to me, crazy. And
Are we going into fire Gannon mode?
No. Let's give it a few more weeks.
Okay.
Typical Philly fashion.
I like Gannon, and I think you got to give people space to run their process and
let him do his job. You
Gannon
hired him.
Care what we think, and he shouldn't.
No.
Right? He's super smart. He's being interviewed to be a head coach. Dude's legit. Dude's disciplined. Dude's a leader. I like all that. The scheme is more passive. I don't like that as a fan, but if it gets results and we win games, I'm cool with it. So what I'd like to see, we'll have to do a video, Ryan. This might have to be an extra video now that we're in season, but because most of our videos are going to be around matchups and who we're playing. But I'd love to compare more statistics between Jim Schwartz and Gannon, and then take those stats and like take away like bullet points. The difference, like, okay, so this is the philosophy. Gannon wants to stop the big play. Now you do recall with Schwartz, I recall Sidney Jones, Russell Douglas getting smoked by these Minnesota Vikings a couple years ago. Like, we've got smoked a lot. Big play to DK Metcalf in the playoffs. Like we got beat big downfield. And when an offense has one play during a drive of 20 plus yards, like the percentages of them scoring a touchdown go through the roof. Like it's
Right.
like 80%, something really high. So they're looking from like a analytics standpoint, like if we can eliminate 20 plus yard plays, if they don't have a 20 plus yard play on a drive, they've got like a 8% chance of scoring,
Right.
but so we'll have to do an episode on that because I'd love to like take away bullet points and really understand the philosophy a little bit deeper. Um, that's one thing I want to mention about the Vikings and Eagles. The Lions offensive line is legit. And you said we're supposed to be good too. The Vikings offensive line does not have that reputation.
Right.
They're kind of built more outside in. And I mean, Jefferson's a beast. I think the defensive backs, the corners that we have, this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Defensive backfield in a salary cap era. Like, we got good DBs. So
Yeah.
we should be able to handle them as good as or better than any other team in the league.
Yeah.
But I expect to see more pressure this week.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so. We're going against a worse offensive line. I'm a big believer in DeAndre Swift. I'm not going to say he's at this moment as good as Dalvin Cook, but I think he has the potential to be for sure. Dalvin Cook's just versatile. He does kind of does everything, so he's going to be another guy we have to worry about in the passing game, out of the backfield, things like that. But I mean, I think we're very talented. But again, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not scheming it correctly, so if we're going to get dink and dunk Jefferson turns a 6-yard slant into a 45-yard touchdown routinely. So I'm not worried about the deep ball necessarily. I'm worried because that's what our scheme, stops. We're trying not to give up these big plays, but when the problem is when you have these guys like, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, these guys who just catch the ball 6 yards off the line and they split the safeties, or they make, they stiff arm one guy and they're gone. Those are the things we have to worry about. And I don't know if we're going to go to more of a zone approach to try to, shadow, his area. I don't know. That might be the best way to handle him, because I don't think Bradbury or Slay can go one-on-one with him. They're going to need help. And I don't think anyone in the league can go one-on-one with him for a whole game. It's a lot harder to play corner than it is to play receiver. So
especially in this era.
Yeah, when you can't touch them, you can't breathe on them. Yeah, it's very difficult. So
I think Slay's great, but no matter, and I think Slay can maybe hold his own a lot better than what we think. But, dude, you're just at so many disadvantages. Like it's not a Slay thing. It's just an environment thing. Like in general, wide receiver versus corner in 2022. You're just at a big disadvantage. They want the way they referee the game.
Well, they're just trying to sell tickets. Offense sells tickets. They want big plays and all this stuff, and so they cater the rules a little bit to the offensive side of the ball, to where it makes it, it's disadvantage for corners. But that would be my takeaway: is just either shadow a safety on Jefferson all game, as much as you can, or a linebacker in that area to help out, or just go full zone, play a lot of zone coverage. Don't give up the deep balls and just make the tackles. Give them the 3-4 yard slant, but make tackles. But I hope to see a lot of pressure, and I expect we will. So it's a worse defensive line. We have a week of tape. We have a week of study to see what we did wrong, what we weren't doing. Times when we missed blitzes, things like that. I hope to see Nakobe Dean. I've heard, seen some tape on Georgia where he's phenomenal at blitzing. Very good at disguising the blitz. So I'm hoping to see some of that. But my number one is Jordan Davis has got to play. He's got to play way more snaps, man. And not taking anything away from Fletch. Like you said, they didn't look great, Javon and Fletch, but that could have just been, the Lions schemed it correctly, the way they blocked them, pushing them out of the way. But we got to see Jordan Davis in there, man. And I wouldn't expect it's a stamina thing, man. I get he's a huge dude, massive dude, but 22% or 22 snaps is not enough.
Yeah. And he's an NFL player, and he's been there. He's been at camp since day one. We heard he dropped weight. He was playing Georgia 350, 360. We heard he's 320. Professional athlete.
Right.
So
and he's not like a sloppy, like you've seen, he's not a nose tackle who's 360 pounds and like he's 6'2". He's an athletic, like not as, I wouldn't say as crazy as Jordan Mailata, but like in that realm of, he's an athletic 350, 340, whatever he's walking around at now. He's not like a sloppy guy who's doing 4 snaps and then getting oxygen on the sideline. Like it's not the old Albert Hainsworth would be the closest thing I can remember to that, or Vince Wilfork, where he's just, you're just a brick wall. Go out there and give me, 10 snaps and stop the run. So I expect to see more, and I would assume all fans do, and hopefully they listen a little bit. Not saying the fans are right, but if whatever thousands of fans are saying, why is Jordan Davis not playing? Why was he not on the field this play? They might be right,
Yeah, and the stat you mentioned, I think in the Lions reaction or in this video. So Jordan Davis, when he was on the field, the Lions were under 3 yards a carry. When he was off the field, they were near 10 yards a carry. That is significant. So, and the Lions, like, they're not the Vikings. I understand. The Lions can't throw the ball. Like, Goff did not look good. But that running game, we couldn't stop the run. So, like, they stayed in the game. The big thing I was worried about, and I'm worried about going into this week as well, is the Eagles were like the worst tackling team in the entire league in week 1.
Yeah.
I believe, I'm going off memory, I believe they had 18 missed tackles versus the Lions. So we're talking about timing, getting the ball, rhythm passing, which Kirk Cousins is phenomenal at. Great receiver, top 3 receiver in the league probably. Get the ball to Jefferson on time. Okay, great. So can we tackle him? Like, that's a big problem. Dalvin Cook running the football. Our defensive line should be able to stop the run with our personnel. I don't know what the scheme is versus the run, but it should be able to stop the run. But then we tackle. Like, we were so sloppy tackling. I understand it's probably first game of the year. Like, in this day and age, you don't tackle to the ground in
right.
So, like, they haven't tackled anybody since preseason. Some of these guys didn't even play in the preseason. So I get it. But I hope to really clean that up, like, this week. I think hopefully it gets a lot better. We can't have that many missed tackles. And that's what a lot of those big runs came off of. There was a couple runs where it's like Gardner Johnson missed one, Bradbury missed a tackle, and they broke big.
Yeah.
So that's one of my big concerns. And then my last thing I'll say, man, is, there's this old saying in sports, right? Stay within yourself. Stay within yourself. Don't try to get in a shootout. Kirk Cousins versus Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like, you have Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, Lane Johnson. Like, you got these beasts on the offensive line. Like, get Jalen involved in the running game early. Let him get loose. Let him work himself into the game. Run the football. Get Sanders going. Get the offensive line going. And more importantly, get that mentality going. Like, you're in our house. We're going to run it down your throat. I don't want them to run 50 times a game. I want them to start the game aggressively, pushing the ball with the run game so they can open up the passing game. Don't come out spread out trying to be Kirk Cousins. Let Jalen be who he is. And so I think we adjusted pretty quick last week, but we did come out trying to pass the ball.
Yeah.
and we went 3-and-out. And then we just got lucky because we were still trying to pass the ball, and they were generating amazing pressure, and Jalen Hurts bailed them out.
Yeah. Multiple times.
So it wasn't the play calling. Jalen Hurts was bailing them out, making tremendous plays. The Vikings have now seen that tape. So if Sirianni comes out trying to pass, and the Vikings are bringing pressures, and they've got a spy on Hurts, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
they're smart enough to see that.
the number one way to beat when they're bringing blitzes, which is all the Lions did all game, is to run the football, run directly at them. You're bringing pressures. You're expecting Jalen to go through his reads twice as fast when he's not expecting to. You know, I don't know if he was reading it. It kind of gave me flashbacks of Carson Wentz not reading blitzes at times, where like there's a guy on the line and he's just looking at him. He calls him out as the mic. Then you see a safety sprinting full speed, and he would almost it's like he's trying to snap it so that guy doesn't have to slow down. Like you get a safety sprinting full speed, and he's just like, "All right, go!" And then no one touches him. No, and that I saw some flashes of that where I see it, and I'm like, "Oh, he's blitzing, and no one touched him, or he come." I'm like, man, like I'm in we're in an aerial view where we can see everything going on, and it's not we're not in a view of this where we have to turn our head and see what Jalen sees, but those are the things I'm hoping to see. And we see Kelsey pointing out a ton of stuff, but at the end of the day, Kelsey has to snap the ball when Jalen calls for it. So you'll see Kelsey kind of pointing stuff out and trying to, and the ball will get snapped. So I think stuff like that we need to see improvements on. But again, things like that, if you see a blitz, check into a run. If you think they're bringing a bunch of pressure, check into a run, because they're going to be coming full speed downhill, trying to come around the edges, and you can just run right up the center. And like I'll run behind Jason Kelsey, Dickerson, and Samalo all day. I don't think there's a D line that can stop it consistently. There's guys that will play tough, but there's not guys that are going to stop it all game. So I think that's what we need to do. Really showcase what Miles Sanders can do when healthy. And that's another thing that's a nice surprise so far. Knock on wood, but no injuries. No injuries this week, outside of obviously the IR, Derek Barnett. But no injuries listed. I just saw this morning going into Sunday. So today's, I'm guessing, just like a walkthrough tape. Shouldn't see any injuries or anything like that. So yeah, I'm excited for this game because I think it's going to be a real test. Not that the Lions weren't a real test, but I expected to win the game, but I also expected a fight. But in the end, like my mind was like, "Oh, we're still going to win. Like it's going to be a tough game because we're going to do dumb stuff that we're going to play into their hand." But yeah, I like the idea of seeing what we do with these big, huge, talented receivers. Justin Jefferson's scary, man. Very scary player to deal with. So we'll see. If only we could have drafted him.
Yeah, I know. So one thing I really want to see growth in, and it kind of ties into what you're mentioning, and I watched this also on when JT O'Sullivan broke down Hurts game film in the QB room. He broke down some film. He's like, I don't feel like the scheme has a hot route for Jalen, or the hot route isn't easily accessible. Like he was showing a play where they overloaded the left side of the offensive line. They had four rushers. They had 5 guys on the line, but 4 of them were matched up on 3 guys, and there was overload, and they got a free runner, which is exactly what you kind of would think would happen pre-snap. They got a free runner, and Devontae had a little, actually ran like an in route. I don't know what it's called. Like you're running a slant and then you pivot out, the old Wes Welker route.
Yeah.
He got wide open, but it was to the right side of the field. That's where the blitz was coming from. As soon as Jalen snapped the ball, he started drifting to his left because he sensed that. And then this was the play he tried to run and then like shoveled it out of bounds.
Yeah.
So I want to see more hot routes. Like if you see them load the box, I want some hot options. Like Sanders was out of the backfield, audible, get it a smoke screen to AJ Brown. But we've got to have or Goddard over the middle. Like we've got to have some hot routes set up.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And you know, we are great. We are if the Eagles are elite in one area, we are elite at running the football. And what teams could do last year was just load the box and stop the run. Spy Hurts, stop the run, make Hurts beat you
Yeah.
with his arm. Now it's a little bit harder. Teams are a little bit more hesitant to do that because we got AJ Brown
Right.
who can win one on one, short, medium, or down the field. Devontae Smith, we got guys that can get open. We got guys that can smoke you deep. So if you're overly aggressively trying to stop the run, like, you're gonna have some concerns. You're gonna have some problems. So I want to continue to see more balance. Like we mentioned, involve Devontae, get Goddard involved. Um, don't just always look to AJ Brown. Um,
Right.
You've got to be balanced with the run, with the pass, and then you just can't just keep throwing the ball to the same guy. So
Yeah. I agree.
cool. So that's kind of the preview, and I think again the big matchups is the corners and the wide receivers. I think we're well equipped as
Yeah.
good as anybody else to handle these guys. We'll see. It's going to be in Philly. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a tough environment to play in. And if we can take away Dalvin Cook, if we can stop the run, which our scheme doesn't really tend to try to do, it doesn't look like. But if we can take Cook, make them one dimensional, where all they can do is pass, then I think that's a good place where Cousins could potentially make some mistakes. If we
Yeah.
hit Cousins early, you can rattle him, I think. So any final thoughts, Ryan, before we cut out of here?
No, I saw, like we mentioned before, the rumor of JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul.
Oh yeah.
So apparently the Eagles have shown interest in him. I don't know if there's been a workout schedule or anything like that, but it looks like we're going to fill that spot right now with either Taron Jackson or Patrick Johnson, the Derek Barnett roster spot. So no, I mean, I think, like, yeah, what you said, we have the talent. We're well equipped to handle Justin Jefferson, but you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't scheme them correctly, and that's going to be kind of my fear. And we'll see. We'll obviously do a reaction video to the Vikings game and see what adjustments Gannon made to stop the run, to use the talent we have rather than just have a set scheme and this is what we're doing no matter what talent we have. You know what I mean? Like, if you have the players, use them. Your scheme isn't irrelevant, but in a sense it can be if you have stud players at certain positions. If your scheme's not to give up plays, it's almost like we're running a scheme that we don't have a good secondary. We don't want to get beat deep, so we're gonna play off. We're gonna play safe, but we have good players, so let's I hope we use them. Stick to your scheme, but tweak it a little bit to where we can create pressure and still cover people. But obviously in a perfect world, but no, that's it, man. I'm excited for this game. I feel like I'm more excited for this game than I was for the Lions game. Even though it was week 1, opening day, like it was exciting, but then once it started, I was like, yeah, I was looking at week 2 already. Like, all right, it's a powerful offense. I want to see what we do. So, yeah, that's all I got, man.
Yeah. So I guess my final thoughts. My biggest, I want to understand the schemes better for the Eagles, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of concerned about the defense philosophically because we have talent and starting to be concerned a little bit, like if we know how to use it. So I just don't. The Vikings scoring that many points is kind of like, and I don't think like, oh, well, the Vikings scored this, so the Lions scored this, so the Vikings are going to score 50. Like, no, that's not how this league works. But I lost my train of thought. I was trying to think. I had something specific to say. Um,
I bet it'd be real good.
oh, it was gonna be, yeah, it was gonna be really good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't recall what I was gonna say. That's how good it was. But
Yeah.
maybe I'll tell it later.
Been important.
Yeah. So I hope to see more Jordan Davis. Hope to see us stop the run a little bit better.
Yeah.
Excited for the home opener. That's it for us, guys. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. This has been another episode of the Bird Brothers, two brothers in Ohio, lifelong Eagles fans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.